Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, it just seems like a month ago we were doing a Thanksgiving show. How quickly time goes.
Oh, no kidding.
And it seems now that every year that we do a Thanksgiving show, we have a perennial guest, which I think we want to keep going forward with, and that is the Taylor Dance Company and their performance of Nutcracker, which is coming up right after Thanksgiving weekend, or Thanksgiving.
The week of Thanksgiving, isn't it?
It's Thanksgiving weekend.
It's a way to kick off the Christmas season.
So there are a couple of things going on this year. The shows will be on Friday, the 29th of November, Saturday, December 30th at 2 o'clock, and Sunday at 2 o'clock as well, a matinee. It doesn't give these young, talented students much of a vacation.
No.
But it's a culmination of a lot of work that doesn't just happen around the holidays. It's a year-long endeavor, and it requires a lot of discipline. Couple of things are happening this year that are different from last year. Number one, the production is going to be at the Bradshaw Performing Arts Center at the Sandhills Community College, which just recently had their grand reopening. And there have been a couple of productions that have been done. The Judson Theater Company was in. David Michael Wolfe has performed. And this is going to be an introduction to a performing arts center that would be worthy the type of talent that Moore County does produce, and now we'll have a venue in which to appreciate it. Being joined by Rita Taylor, and Rita, thanks for coming in. You brought with you a great ensemble. Many of these students have been on in the past, and we have a couple of new faces, so I'm going to introduce to my left Juliette Neveu. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you did.
How many times did I ask you for the pronunciation? 5 times.
Something like that.
And I did okay.
Yeah.
To your left is Carolyn Mays, who has been a guest on the show. Katie Mays, her mom. Rita Taylor. And behind us, to the left, we have Sarah Costanza, who has been a frequent guest on the show over the years. Annabelle Black, who is a junior, first time on the show. And Colton Liberator. Pronounce your last name?
Yeah, you said the last name right. My first name's Colton.
Colton.
Yeah.
That was close.
Yeah, yes. You're close, though. You're close.
And this is your second time on the show.
Yeah.
Rita, in addition to the Nutcracker, which we're going to talk about, there's a special production that you're going to be doing this year that you wanted to talk about that is not involving the Friday, Saturday, or Sunday performances.
That's correct. We have are delighted to bring to the community a performance of the Nutcracker that is sensory-based. It will allow students with various issues to come to the production. We will be very sensitive to the needs and the direction that the production takes, and delighted to bring this to the community. Hopefully it becomes an annual part of our Nutcracker reviews. How did this
evolve, that there was a need to do this?
You know, I've had the privilege of working with students with autism, with various sensory disorders throughout the years, and we recognize that there is a very specific need for modifications in the production to create a comfortable and enjoyable environment. Also, been very good friends of the Mays family, and they have a son who has autism, and have had the wonderful privilege of growing up with Brooks Mays Jr. in our programming. He has, from a very little boy all the way to working technical backstage with us. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for us to honor the Mays family as well.
Right. Katie, in any population that we see, even in our office, there are so many children who have some degree of autism. And we watch the moms struggle with it and work around it. How will the show look? How will it be different from the production that will be run Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to accommodate?
Well, first of all, it'll be shorter. So the length won't be, it'll be an hour in length. Some of the dances that are a little longer are taken out. And there is a very limited, it's not really even an intermission. There's just sort of a short music break in the middle to allow the dancers to change their costumes. But,
Right.
less transitions from, inside to outside. The lighting inside, the house lights will be a little higher than they normally are. The music will be a little softer than it normally is. And we are going to limit the number of seats just so that there's room to move around. I remember when I had 3 kids, Caroline's my oldest, and then Brooks is middle, and then we have Robbie, who also dances, and he is 13. But I remember when the kids were little, not feeling like I could take them to things like this because, there was always Brooks to consider, and whether he would be receptive, whether he would get shushed, and we'd be embarrassed to be there in the first place. So having something like this that I could have taken all of my kids to and enjoyed it and not felt like I was out of place, that we would be received. And he has gotten so much joy out of being part of the Nutcracker with his family.
How old is Brooks? How old
he
is
is 15.
Okay.
It's just something that I think I would love to see other kids brought into it and other families feel like this is a place they could feel welcome and a part of.
Based on what you were just saying, it looks like you're trying to give credence to the attention span of the audience as far as producing a shorter production. Is the attention span the main issue?
That's part of it, and I think there's a lot. Well, there's a lot of more of the action-oriented dancers are left in, and some of the ones that are a little longer and a little. You could appreciate them more as an adult and as you're older. But I think for kids, it seems even. I mean, I think even typical young kids, sometimes it can seem. It gets long in some places when you don't understand the storyline and aren't. Involved in the story. Brooks has been backstage for so long that I think he knows the story better than anybody
better
else.
than all of
He
us,
might
yeah.
actually be irritated at dances being taken out because he knows what's missing and what's supposed to be part of it. But it's just being thoughtful for attention spans and for the ability to kind of fidget around a little bit, and that we're not gonna. This will be a tolerant audience. We hope that everybody that's there will be allowed to enjoy it in the way that they feel most comfortable.
There's a predominance of autism that goes through a lot of families, and 5-10 years ago there wasn't a whole lot of talk about it. Today it's front and center. And you're the oldest?
Yes.
So tell me about your relationship with your brother and how your relationship with him has influenced his enthusiasm for the production, for what you do, and what this whole event means to you for him.
Yeah. Well, I was around 2, I think, when my brother was born. And so there's this really funny picture of my mom in the hospital holding my brother, and then I'm sitting beside her screaming. 'Cause I did not want a little brother. But I think ever since then, we've really become close just because he's my brother and I love him regardless. And I started the Nutcracker when I was around 7 years old. And so my whole family got into it. And since we've continued doing it, Brooks has really started to develop more of a technical love. He's started working backstage. He likes to he's moved set pieces, I think.
Works as a
Couple times.
props master.
Props master, yeah. And he looks forward to the Nutcracker every single year. It's like his favorite time of the year. He really enjoys it. And it's a great thing that brings our family together.
I understand that this production is made in part through a grant from Next for Autism. I'm not familiar with that program.
Well, it's a grant it's through the Theater Development Fund, through Theater Development Fund, TDF, which is based out of New York. It's a nonprofit. They operate that TKTS, the discounted ticket booth, same-day ticket booth in New York.
Sure.
Their primary mission is to make sure that the theater and arts are available to everybody. So to make sure that it's accessible to everybody who wants to see. So not just disabilities, but disadvantaged. But make sure that everybody has access to tickets. That it's and they since 2011 have been working to bring it more to the autism community. And they have a set of materials that they have developed and are on their website, resources so that we know, how to modify the lights, how to modify the sound. We're putting together some visual materials that will go with this production so that families and kids can have things to look at and research before they come, so they have an idea of what things will look like once they're there. And then volunteer training. So we'll train the cast and crew, and we'll train volunteers just to understand what autism is and what they might see differently from. So that organization is who we have relied on for all of our information to set this up.
And tell me about your relationship with the Pinehurst Medical Clinic and their role in this entire production.
Well, my relationship is through my husband, he's Dr. Brooks Mays, who's an endocrinologist, okay. And he has also been involved in the Nutcracker since Caroline has been involved. I think he was almost more excited to get his parts in the first couple of years that we were in it than Caroline was. So he, I think he's doing something that he wanted to do when he was younger, being on stage, and I think doing it with his family is something he's enjoyed doing.
So using the Nutcracker as a handle to make people more aware of autism is a good thing. But like so many other things, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what autism is and what it isn't. What do you tell people? Because I don't know how well understood it is.
Yeah, well, and it's different from one person to the next. So just as everybody's personality is different, everybody's personality that has a disability is going to be different too. So, it's important to get to know the person and understand, their specialness when you're doing that, but not necessarily, it's part of the person. It's not necessarily the defining part of the person.
From the time Brooks was born, was there a point in time when you looked and said, there's something we need to look at a certain age? There was.
It was right around, I would say it was around 18 months or so when we started noticing that he was not developing speech. And we were a little thrown off because Caroline also didn't speak very much when she was younger.
She's making up for that now.
She did. Well, she went from 0 to 60 pretty quickly when she was about 2 years old. Uh-huh. So that sort of delayed us in getting Brooks looked at sooner because we thought probably he was just going to be like his sister. But then it didn't develop. And he had some other characteristics too, just, staring at objects and, fascinations. He loved music, and that was about the only way we could tell what he was saying. He didn't speak in words, but he could repeat sounds and music back almost, in perfect pitch. So that was one of the few ways that we could communicate with him when he was younger.
Yeah. They talk about the hyperfocus.
Yes.
Is that a correct term?
Absolutely, yes. And I think that's part of what has developed his love of the Nutcracker. I think having been exposed to it for so many years, he is really familiar with all of the props and the timing and the music and what's supposed to happen when. There's a story one year when he was backstage, it was probably about 5 years ago, and it was during one of the performances, and partway through the first act, the Christmas tree is brought off stage in preparation for the change of scenery. And he was sitting in a chair off stage next to the Christmas tree because that's his favorite prop in the entire show. So when they went to change the curtains for the change in scenery, the curtains weren't moving. And everybody's running around trying to figure out what's going on, why the curtains won't move. And then suddenly the tree drops and there's Brooke standing under the tree. And I remember asking one of the stagehands, did he knock that over? And they were like, no, he was the only person that knew exactly what the problem was. And was standing under there to catch it because he didn't want it to, didn't want it to fall.
It had gotten caught on a large cabling line that had dropped down. And he was quite the hero for the day.
You know,
Very much so.
It occurs to me that, Rita, and this is a comment directed towards you, the production of the Nutcracker is a celebration and a culmination of the arts in Moore County, especially with the student population. It's also a celebration of the Taylor Dance Company and what you have fostered over all these years. But to be able to preside over this particular special event has also got to give you a feeling of completeness or paying back, paying it forward, and spreading the word about things other than just the production.
Absolutely. But I also think, too, it's, as a culture, we become more and more aware of not necessarily disabilities, but differences. I think we're more aware in schools, just in a society at large, where we value the differences in people rather than their likenesses.
Right.
The arts especially does that. There are people with very specific talents and gifts, and the arts have been known forever as a place of acceptance and love and growth and development and beauty. And this, as we're all becoming more aware of how to better serve our community, I really believe this is a part of it. And I've been graced with the opportunity to work with so many young people over the last 40 years. And during that time period, I've encountered all sorts of differences in individuals. And this is a wonderful opportunity for Gary Taylor Dance and the Nutcracker and the arts to serve just another part of our population.
And every time we have you on, the demographics of Moore County keep changing. We keep getting more people moving into town who have kids who are looking to get themselves invested in Moore County. This past week, I've had no less than 3 conversations with new families who are coming into town, telling them we're going to do the show. And they all want to get a video of it.
Wonderful.
And they want to come to the event for their grandchildren
Wonderful.
Or for their kids. And you're talking about children from the ages of as young as 3 right on up to seniors in high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's come back in the second set and let's get you guys involved and let's talk about the production. And some of you guys who are veterans on the show, you can just come here and replace me and you can lead the conversation. This is All Things Moore County. We're talking all about the upcoming production of the Nutcracker at the Bradshaw Performing Arts Center, Friday, November 29th through Sunday, December 1st. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second set of All Things Moore County. We're talking all about the Nutcracker, which is coming up on Friday, November 29th, right after Thanksgiving, through Sunday, the 1st of December. There'll be 3 productions. One of the most enjoyable parts of hosting the show, for me, is the ability to speak to students who have a lot of courage, who have a lot of grace, who are not afraid to take chances and put themselves out there. And it's no small coincidence that 3 of the 5 people sitting at the table have been on the show before. Let's go back, and I just want to introduce Juliette Neveu. I want to introduce Sarah Costanza, Carolyn Mays, Annabelle Black. I reversed it, Annabelle, I'm sorry. And Colton Liberator. This is a lot of fun for you guys. It's a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of discipline and hard work. Is this your first, Julie? Is this your first Nutcracker? Or have you been a? Okay,
No.
This is your 8th.
I can't even count anymore.
Okay,
This is my 4th Nutcracker with Gary Taylor Dance.
okay. How long have you been with Gary Taylor Dance?
About 4 years now, since 2016.
Okay, so you started when you were in freshman.
I started with Gary Taylor Dance when I was a freshman, yeah.
Okay, Annabelle, how about you?
I started at the same time, except I was an 8th grader. So I started in 2016 with Juliette and Sarah.
Some of you have started much younger. Sarah?
I started at the same time as Juliette and Annabelle.
Okay. And Carolyn?
I started, I think I first joined the recreational dance program when I was 5 at Gary Taylor Dance and
At
joined
5.
the ensemble program at 7,
Right.
which is when I started performing the Nutcracker for the first time.
Okay. This is not the only production that you have all been in. Colton, I know for a fact you were on last year.
Yeah.
We were talking about another production that you were doing. But how long have you been with Gary Taylor Dance?
Same time as everyone else since I was in 8th grade, so 2016. So this is my 4th.
Would you all agree that performing the Nutcracker this year, because I think 3 of you are 2 of you are seniors and 3 of you are juniors.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a culmination of a lot of the skills that you've learned that gives you a chance to express yourself and maybe with an eye towards college and how you're going to use the skills that you've adopted for future enrichment?
Yes, definitely.
Sarah?
A lot of the time, I personally feel like the year really sort of revolves around Nutcracker. You're at dance and you're like, we're getting ready for Nutcracker. You're in technique class perfecting your technique to get ready for Nutcracker. And also dance teaches you so many skills that you're going to need to use for college and later in life. My mom frequently says to me, dance is the vehicle that will help to get you into college along with grades. But it gives you so much discipline and just so many applicable life skills that you're going to need.
I wish my parents told me the same thing, that you didn't need your grades to get into college, just your foul shooting ability.
Just your
You gotta point your toes and then you'll get in. That's not quite it.
Juliette,
Yeah.
your motivation you're in the program, have you been in other productions besides dance productions?
Not really, actually, but I actually really want to go into college as a dance major.
Okay.
So my life kind of just revolves around dance and, different styles of dance and trying new things with dance. So
What are the strongest lessons you've learned through the Taylor Dance program that will suit you well going forward?
probably just time management, priorities. I've learned so much about discipline, and I feel like my character development has just completely changed since I started with Gary Taylor Dance. And I think about it sometimes because I'm a senior, so I'm reflecting on the past 4 years, and just the growth that I see within myself is just indescribable.
Would you say that increased focus is one of the things that...
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, you put blinders on.
Yes. Actually, Gary says that a lot. He says, gotta put your horse blinders on.
And you do.
I try to.
Annabelle?
I think that what Juliette said about time management is really one of the most important things, especially around Nutcracker season. It's the holiday season. We all have family obligations. We have school with final exams coming up and midterms, and then we're rehearsing for 20 plus hours a week for the show. So it really just teaches you how important it is to use your time wisely and really make sure that you get everything done in the allotted time, which I think is going to be a hugely important skill for college.
Yeah, and I think it was mentioned that your time management, your scheduling, it probably helps you be more efficient as students.
Yes.
You don't have so much time to goof off.
No.
No wasted time, right?
Yeah, there's not much time. If we have time in class, extra time, we're not socializing with other kids. We're getting our homework done because we know that we have class and we have rehearsal in the evening.
Right.
So it really teaches you to use your time in a wise and efficient manner.
Right, and you're a junior.
I am a junior this year, yes.
And your aspirations after high school?
I would like to attend college using an ROTC scholarship and double major in modern languages and literatures and foreign relations. So I want to work in
That's exhausting.
Wow, that was a lot.
things like UN translating and linguistics, hopefully, is my career aspirations. But I want to continue dance through college, too.
Are you giving autographs today, or do we have to wait till afterwards?
There is a fee for that.
Okay.
So.
Very good. That was very good. Carolyn, you've been in a lot of different productions. I've seen you perform as an actress, as a dancer. Tell me about what Taylor Dance has meant to you and where you see your next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So I actually first started joining theater when I joined the dance program at Gary Taylor Dance. My mom saw that the company was doing a production of Peter Pan, and so my mom was like, do you want to do it? And I said, sure. And so that was my first theatrical production, and it was with a division of Gary Taylor Dance. And so that's sort of, I was exposed to my love of theater at Gary Taylor Dance. And in college, I'd actually really like to double major as well. I'd like to go into something with theater, probably musical theater, which involves dancing, singing, and acting. And also doing something with journalism or broadcasting or something like that.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Have you, you're at the point where you're looking at schools right now, are you not?
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about that, or keep that on the QT?
Since I'm not going for a musical theater BFA, I'm trying to look for BA programs. And so right now I'm trying to look for schools that combine programs that have really great programs in the arts as well as good, strong academic programs.
Right.
And I've got a couple of auditions coming up for scholarships at schools. So that's really exciting. It's something fun to look forward to amidst the Nutcracker preparations.
Yeah.
Colton, in speaking to these 4 ladies, all I see is focus, focus, focus. Discipline, discipline, discipline. Right? The way they speak, the way they present themselves. And you the same. You're a senior?
No, I'm a junior.
You're a junior?
Yeah.
Okay. You're also, you're a member of the Taylor Dance Company, but you're also an athlete.
Yeah, I still am an athlete, but
I used to think I was too, but
recently I actually had to leave the football team just because of how much commitment to dance, and I'm also in honors theater now, and that's also at like 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
I had a really good talk with Coach Metzger about it, though. I came to him one morning, and I was like, so I'm going to be missing like all week of practice, and I was like, yeah, but he basically told me, well, you have to like make a decision
right.
between theater and football, and we're still going to respect you either way. But
right.
I mean, I wanted to keep doing both, but it just wasn't going to work out because I wouldn't be having commitment in theater and football at the same time. So I ended up going with what I feel like I'm more talented and better at. But I really do miss being a part of the team. It was really special for me, and I loved all the guys there.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped me through like some rough times and stuff. So it was, yeah, it sucked to leave, but
right.
But yeah, I'm doing what I love now.
Well, good for you. No, there's a lot of crossover between the football program and the dance program. And you guys share a lot of the same values, and you share a lot of the same goals. I don't think the spirit of what you do is any different than what they're taught. And you've been on both sides of the table. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, it's really similar. Like the discipline and just the teamwork between everybody. Like we all want to go for one same goal. Like on the football team, we all want to win the game. And during dance, we all want to have the best production that we can. So It's a lot of teamwork. And, of course, there's going to be times where you're mad at somebody, mostly more in football if someone messes up or something. That's definitely happened to me a lot. I've been, like, on the back end of getting yelled at. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, please don't yell at me. But I mean, it's a lot of fun because there's so much different things that go on with it. But there's also a lot of similarities. Like, I mean, you're obviously also like exhausted and in pain during both. But I mean, it's really similar, and it's really interesting to get to see. It's really nice to get to learn from two different mentors too. So
both mentors seem to have the same message, though, and that is this is all about the game of life, and using dance or using sports as the hook, but the values and the lessons that you learn are going to sit in your place very well as you go forward. All five of you actually, very well spoken and very focused. Can we come back and talk a little bit about, in the third set, the production, the nuts and bolts of what people are going to be seeing? The Nutcracker is going to be at the Bradshaw Performing Arts Center right after Thanksgiving on the 29th, 30th, and the 1st, November 29th, November 30th, and December 1st. Tickets can be purchased at the door, or they can go online at TudoTix or taylordance.org, or by calling the studio at 910-420-1025. Does that all sound right? They can also email you at chat@taylordance.org. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our final set of All Things Moore County. The Nutcracker is going to be at the Bradshaw Performing Arts Center at the Sandhills Community College, Friday the 29th of November, Saturday the 30th of November, and Sunday the 1st. There'll be 2 matinees on Saturday and Sunday, and a Friday evening performance. There'll also be a special performance on Wednesday, November 27th at 10:30 a.m., it's adapted for adults and children and families with special needs, and it's going to be an abbreviated version of the production, but it's something that will have appeal to a lot of people in the community. And we want to thank Kathy Mace for coming in and speaking about it. And in honor of the Mace family and your son Brooks, who's 15. We've had the Taylor Dance show. This is about the 5th or 6th time we've had it. And we've also focused a lot on the arts in Moore County, especially for the students. Give me an overview of what the Taylor Dance Studio stands for, because now you have been here, I don't know how many years.
20 years.
20 years. Yeah. You have built a family within a family, and you've got to have a maternal spirit towards what you have, because if these are your children, congratulations.
I've done well.
You've done very well.
Yes, I have.
Tell us a little bit about big picture Taylor Dance, what it stands for.
First of all, I think that a program is always a reflection of the people who are working the program. So Gary and I very much love the arts. It's not just our passion, it's our mission. Mm-hmm. It's our story. It's who we are. And I think out of that comes the translation of love to that to our students. There is great joy in the work that we do. I don't think that our students ever come to class concerned that they're not going to have a good experience today or a wonderful class. We bring faculty members in who also have that same passion for the arts and for dance. All of that translates into an inspirational program for young people from 3 years old well into the college years. The outgrowth of that is you find people like these 5 beautiful young adults that we have here that are focused and driven and who believe very much in the idea that the arts belong to everyone, and it's not just our job, but our responsibility to share the arts. We work with school children from the time that they start until the time that they leave the program. They have a real understanding of giving back, of community, of service, but more importantly, they understand to be driven and focused, and that it's really their path, their opportunity. Make the most out of it. Serve yourself, your community, and your family. And out of that comes some very happy young individuals coming out of the program. And I like to think that Gary Taylor Dance is a place that serves the young people of our community and at large our community itself.
Yeah, I bet, and I'll just throw this question out to the five of you. I'll bet you that the experience that you have at Taylor Dance, which is part of your education, might have more meaning to you, or certainly create more indelible impressions than any specific class you've taken in your tenure in high school.
Definitely. I mean,
Sarah?
When you're at school, you're with your classmates, but when you're in dance class, you're really with your family. We call it your dance family, and you oftentimes spend more time with your dance family than with your actual family, and so you just can't do it if you don't have those close bonds. And just like the sense that everybody has your back and everyone is there for you and they're there to support you, lift you up, lend their strength whenever you need that. And it's just a really beautiful thing to be a part of.
So she's talking about the spirit amongst the five of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even just the entire
Annabelle?
studio, too. I mean, it really is, like Sarah said, one big family, and we're all spending so much time around each other, and we're performing together. We're going through all of these shared experiences that we wouldn't have with anybody who's our classmate at school. We know what it's like to perform on stage together and be doing the same dance and rehearsing together. So all the hardships when your feet hurt, and it's just really been a long day, but we've gone through that together, and it makes the friendships that you form just so much stronger than your regular ones.
Yeah. We have a lot of moments where you'll get off stage for a brief moment in a piece, and you'll see somebody, they're huffing and puffing, and they've got to be right back out there, and you grab their shoulder and you just give them a good squeeze, and you're just you've got this, you can do this, and you just you lend your strength, and we're all just there for each other, and it's a wonderful thing.
Carolyn?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything they've been saying. When you have to spend hours upon hours in classes or in rehearsal together, you really have to just create a bond with everyone. It just really strengthens, and you share the same experiences. You have to dance in a lot of the same dances. In a lot of the dances, you are forced to work together and dance as a unit, and so that sort of helps create the bond as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're out of the corner of my eye, Juliette. Go ahead.
Especially when we're on stage and, there's a really hard dance. For example, Nutcracker's probably Flowers. And it's honestly, it makes it easier to get through something when you're on stage and you make eye contact with the people next to you, and you're you both just look at each other and you're yep, we're dying, but we're dying together, so it's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. Especially me, Sarah, and Annabelle do this role called side lead flower, and it's the hardest thing ever, but it makes it better. We try to find moments where we can look at each other because it makes it better, even though we still feel like dying. So
I feel like you're gonna pass out.
A lot of cardio on that one.
A lot of cardio.
Yeah.
Colton, the bond and the spirit that you have with Taylor Dance and with these four ladies is no different than the bond that you had as a football player.
No, not at all. It's probably a little bit harder too, just because I'm not partnering with a guy during football, but I have to partner with a lot of these girls during dances. Caroline is my partner in Oriental, and I want to make sure that I'm doing everything possible that she looks just as good and that I'm not screwing anything up, because I don't want her to go into the dressing room and be oh yeah, that guy Colton, he really just messed me up. And that's like probably my biggest fear is like screwing someone up during a dance. So
Yeah, and likewise for me too. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything so that he doesn't have to work extra hard so that I can get where I need to be.
Right.
yeah, it's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
Just making sure that you and your partner really trust each other and working together.
Talk to me a little bit, whoever wants to weigh in. Talk to me now about the role of you all as being role models for the students coming up in the program who are at an age where maybe some of you first started taking an interest in dance, because I think you might remember those role models for you. Now you guys are in that position.
Yeah, it's actually like,
Juliette?
it's crazy. I think about it a lot, like, because I see the younger kids, and I teach a lot of younger kids sometimes as a fill-in, and just being able to, like, inspire them, it really, like, makes me more passionate about what I do, because we work with professionals all the time, and getting to work with them really inspires me, so I want to bring the same thing to the younger kids. And especially when I was like a freshman, seeing the seniors, like Mary or people like that, like how they would work is something we try to carry on and just like pass down, so just like spreading it along. So yeah.
It just occurred to me as you're all speaking. I don't know this, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. My feeling is that you're all very good students.
We try.
You
try to
all,
Yes.
you
Yes.
all
We do our best.
are doing. You're all A, B students.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you
Yeah.
went home with the B like I did when I was elated, you guys go home and you need therapy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for parents or grandparents who are out there listening, this is the first time we've done a show on the Nutcracker where we really haven't spoken a lot about the production itself, but we're talking about the characteristics of what goes into the production and the type of people that it requires. I'm thinking if you all are all role models, this would be something that a parent might want their child. The way you speak, all of you, you're so articulate. You make great eye contact. Coach Metzger always says, I like the eye contact, I like the handshake. Well, you guys are all stepping up to the plate. You're owning what you do, and you're great advocates for the program. And I can't think of a parent who wouldn't want to say, boy, if my 8-year-old, who is flying off the handle or is off the wall, had this kind of discipline and focus, that wouldn't be a good thing, it would be a great thing. So in that regard, you're also role models.
I think that
Rita?
I think that I watched. There's a junior group behind them that's coming up the ranks, and they're aware emotionally, but probably not aware all the time because they're busy and they're working and they're working through these very difficult pieces in the show, and these children sit or stand on the sideline, watching in awe at the things that they do and what they've accomplished, and they are mentoring every step of the way.
Yeah.
So it's and that's a wonderful thing for all young people to have wonderful role models to look up to.
Right.
To start your child in a program that that the end result is going to be these 5 young people.
That's right.
So.
We have just limited time, but let's just end a little bit by talking about the pageantry of the show. What are the things about the show that stands out the most that people in the audience will see and appreciate that you are most proud of and you are most enrolled in? Colton, we'll start with you.
Well, I think a lot of people can probably watch and really appreciate just probably I would say how well we all look, because I mean we spend so much time.
You especially. No.
No. They they dance and make me look a lot better than I definitely would if I was out there by myself. But I think a lot of people can come and appreciate just being like, oh, wow, like they look really good out there. Because, I mean, we spend a lot of time training and working hard to just look as good as we can. And, of course, the set is incredibly beautiful, too. So,
The costuming.
Let's talk about the
costuming.
Carolyn, let's talk about the costuming.
The costuming, it is beautiful. It's just amazing. The costumes are very sparkly, and if you look in the audience, you could just notice the sparkles and the glitter, and it's just wow. And especially for the party scene, it's set in an area. It's set in an era a couple centuries ago, I think, is sort of what it's about. And I don't know the exact date, but we have costumes.
1892.
Yeah, we have costumes that are very specific to that era, and they don't look very modern, and it's like you've been transported back in time. It's very, very professionally done costume work, and the set, beautiful.
Annabelle, thank you. Annabelle, through the eyes of a 10-year-old girl
Yes.
watching the show, what are they going to see?
I mean, I think that every 10-year-old girl is the dream is the ballerina, the point shoes, the tutu, the crowns, and we certainly have that in full supply. But the scenery just is so amazing for things like Snow Scene and Land of the Sweets. In the second act, it really it's a full set. It leaves no part to the imagination. We've got a gorgeous proscenium, and it's so well done. It's really, there's candy canes, there's all the different sweets that you can imagine, and it's just really, I mean, it appeals to what every 10-year-old girl's little dream is. It's to be the Sugar Plum Fairy. I mean, and it really just fulfills in that in every way.
Yeah, I love the way Sarah's watching you, listening to you. She's completely enrolled you're completely enrolled in Nutcracker.
Yes, and Annabelle and I often joke that we share a brain cell, and we just pass it back and forth to each other.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's connected.
Right there, yeah.
Juliette.
Yeah.
What would a young boy see in the Nutcracker?
I think they'd see a lot of strength from the guys, because the guys are so very just great at what they do, and they're lifting up the girls, throwing them over their heads.
Right.
You know, like popping them up on the shoulder. You
Right.
know, like
There are also sword fights.
yeah,
and
there's sword
mice and
fights.
soldiers.
Yeah, the
and-
battle scene is
Battle
like
movie.
Yeah.
that's all guys stuff, and that tends to be their favorite part. You know, every time we do Land of the Sweets and we're talking to the kids, like, what was your favorite part? The guys always love the battle scene. They're like, oh, I like when the Mouse King is fighting the Nutcracker, and you know, it's cool.
It is.
The production of the Nutcracker really does kick off the holiday season here in Moore County, and Taylor Dance is at the forefront of that. And for people who are looking for something to do over the Thanksgiving weekend, these 5 impressive students will be all taking part in the Nutcracker. But you have many students who are not just in the production, but who are working behind the scenes. It's a cast of many, and it takes a village to put it all together. The show will be at the brand new Bradshaw Performing Arts Center at Sandhills Community College, Friday, November the 29th at 7 p.m., Saturday the 30th of November at 2 p.m., and a matinee on Sunday at 2 p.m. I wish you guys all the very best. I know you only have Thanksgiving Day off, but this is a culmination of a lot of work, and enjoy the process, and it's a pleasure to have all of you on.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys down the road, and welcome officially to our holiday season. Thank you all. This is All Things Moore County. Have a great week.